No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Right now, you might feel like you are walking through a dense fog. You are putting in the work, you are keeping your promises to yourself, and you are fighting silent battles that nobody else sees. The world outside seems indifferent, perhaps even cold. You check your phone, but there is no message of encouragement. You look around for a mentor, a partner, or a friend to validate your pain, but the room is empty. It is a terrifying feeling, isn't it? That sinking sensation that maybe, just maybe, you are all alone in this meaningless struggle. But what if I told you that this silence is not a mistake? What if this isolation isn't a sign that you are failing, but the clearest signal yet that you are about to evolve? Today, we're going to use the wisdom of Carl Jung to decode this lonely chapter of your life. You're going to discover how to harness the power of solitude to build an inner strength that no external validation could ever give you. By the end of this video, you won't just want to get through this phase, you will be thankful for it. If you're ready to turn your isolation into power, join our community of wisdom seekers by subscribing to Timeless Wisdom Official. Let's walk this path together.
1. The gift of detachment, the night sea journey. The first thing you must understand is that this feeling of being invisible has a name. Carl Jung called it the night sea journey. In ancient myths and alchemy, this is the moment when the hero is swallowed by the beast or descends into the underworld. It is dark, it is confined, and it feels like death. But psychologically, this is the most fertile ground you will ever stand on. Most of us spend our lives building what Jung called the persona, the mask we wear to please society. We smile when we aren't happy, we agree when we disagree, and we work hard to get a pat on the back from the crowd. But when the crowd disappears, when you are left alone in that void, the mask falls off. This is painful because you are addicted to the external world's reflection of who you are. When the world stops looking at you, you feel like you cease to exist. However, this is where the magic happens. When the noise of the world fades, the voice of the self, your true, authentic core, finally has room to speak. The night sea journey is not a punishment for your past mistakes. It is a withdrawal of energy from the outside world so you can concentrate it inward. Think of an arrow. Before it can shoot forward to hit the target, it must be pulled back. The farther back it is pulled, the more tension, stress, and resistance it feels. You are in that pullback phase right now. The isolation you feel is simply the universe removing the distractions that kept you small. If everyone was cheering for you right now, you would settle for their applause. But because no one is clapping, you are forced to find a deeper fuel source. You are being invited to detach from the need to be seen, so you can finally start to see yourself. Do not fight the darkness. It is in the dark soil that the seed breaks open to become the oak tree. 2. Withdrawal of projections. Stop searching for a savior. Once you accept that this isolation is a necessary biological and spiritual phase, you must face a harder truth. You have likely been waiting for a savior. In Jungian psychology, this is called projection. We often take our own inner gold, our own authority, strength, and value, and we project it onto other people. We look at a boss and think, if he approves of me, then I am competent. We look at a partner and think, if she loves me, then I am lovable. We look at our friends and think, if they understand me, then I make sense. We treat people like movie screens, projecting our own worth onto them. But here is the brutal reality of your current situation. The screen has been ripped away. When no one is there for you, it feels like a betrayal. You might feel angry that your friends aren't calling, or bitter that your hard work isn't being recognized. But Jung would tell you that this disappointment is actually a retrieval of your soul. Every time someone fails to save you, they are forcing you to become your own savior. Every time someone fails to validate you, they are handing that responsibility back to you. Imagine you are walking with a crutch. You believe you cannot walk without it. Suddenly, life kicks the crutch away. You fall. You scream. You panic. But then, trembling, you stand up. You realize your legs were strong enough all along. The people who abandoned you, or the people who are simply indifferent to your struggle, are essentially kicking away your crutches. You must stop looking for a father figure in your boss, a mother figure in your spouse, or a cheerleader in your peers. They are human, just like you, fighting their own shadow battles. The moment you stop hoping for someone to come and rescue you is the moment you become dangerous, in the best possible way. You become a person who cannot be manipulated, because you no longer need anything from them to feel whole. You are withdrawing your projections and keeping your gold for yourself. This is the ultimate competitive advantage in life, being a person who is self-sourced. 3. The alchemical fire of self-validation. Now that you have stopped looking for a savior, you face the most difficult task of all, becoming your own source of light. In alchemy, a subject Jung studied deeply as a metaphor for psychological growth, there is a process called calcinatio. It is the burning away of impurities through intense heat. When you are alone and you do something excellent, when you finish a project, hit a personal record in the gym, or resist a toxic temptation, and there is no one there to clap for you, you feel a specific kind of burn. It is the burn of the ego. The ego is like a child. It screams, "Look at me. Did I do good? Am I worthy?" When the room is silent, that child throws a tantrum. You might feel deflated, wondering if your effort even matters if it isn't posted on social media or praised by a peer. But Jung teaches us that this silence is where you transition from the archetype of the child to the archetype of the sovereign. A child needs a parent to validate their reality. An adult validates their own. Think about the difference between a mirror and a lamp. A mirror has no light of its own. It only shines when something else shines on it. If you turn off the lights in the room, the mirror becomes pitch black. It is useless. Many people live their entire lives as mirrors, waiting for a spouse, a boss, or society to shine a light on them so they can feel bright. But a lamp? A lamp generates its own light from within. It doesn't care if the room is empty or full. It shines because that is its nature. When you learn to validate yourself, to look at your own work in the quiet of the night and say, "This is good. I am proud of this," you are igniting your internal generator. This is not arrogance. It is objectivity. It is the ability to separate your self-worth from the fluctuation of external opinions. When you can survive the silence without crumbling, you become unshakable. You become the lamp. And the paradox is, once you stop desperately needing the world to see you, the world becomes uncontrollably drawn to your light. 4. The shadow of complaint versus the power of agency. As you build this internal light, you must guard against a subtle poison that grows in isolation, the poison of complaint. When we are alone and struggling, the shadow, the darker, unconscious part of our personality, loves to slip into the role of the victim. It starts with a whisper in your mind, "It's not fair. Why do I have to work this hard when others have it easy? Why doesn't anyone understand what I'm going through?" Jung was very clear about the danger of this state. He said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." Notice the distinction. The victim focuses on what happened. The hero focuses on who they are choosing to become. Complaining is a defense mechanism. It is a way for the ego to avoid the terrifying weight of total responsibility. As long as you can blame the economy, your upbringing, your bad luck, or the indifference of your friends, you don't have to take action. You get to stay safely stuck in your misery. Misery is comfortable because it demands nothing of you but tears. Change is terrifying because it demands everything. When no one is there for you, you have two choices. You can let that energy turn inward and rot into bitterness, or you can transmute it into agency. Every time you catch yourself complaining, even silently in your head, view it as a leak in your fuel tank. You are bleeding out the very energy you need to get ahead. The next time you feel that wave of self-pity, I want you to ask yourself a Jungian question. What is this situation asking of me? Not, why is this happening? But what does this require? Does it require you to be more disciplined? Does it require you to learn a new skill? Does it require you to let go of an old dream to make space for a new one? By shifting from why me to what now, you move from the passive victim to the active creator. You stop waiting for the world to change, and you start changing the world by changing yourself. 5. Befriending the fool. The courage to fail alone. There is a secret advantage to having no one around you, an advantage almost everyone overlooks. It is the freedom to be the fool. In the tarot, which Jung viewed as a repository of archetypal images, the fool is the card labeled 0. He is the beginning of the journey. He walks off a cliff, seemingly naive, making mistakes. But here is the truth. The fool is the precursor to the savior. You cannot become a master without first being a fool. When you are surrounded by people, critics, family, competitors, you are terrified of making mistakes. You play it safe because you don't want to look stupid. You stick to what you know. You conform. The pressure of the audience keeps you in a box of mediocrity. But right now, look around you. No one is watching. No one is there. This is not a tragedy. This is your laboratory. You have the incredible luxury of failure without humiliation. You can try a new business idea, and if it crashes, no one sees the wreckage but you. You can practice a new skill, speak a new language, or write a new book, and you can be absolutely terrible at it for a long time. This is how mastery is built in the dark through repeated, ugly failure. Jung believed that the fear of looking foolish is what kills the soul's potential. We repress our creative impulses because we are afraid they aren't dignified or successful enough. But in your solitude, you can drop the dignity. You can get your hands dirty. Use this time of isolation to experiment wildly. Take risks you wouldn't take if the whole world was watching. If you fall on your face, so what? The room is empty. You simply stand up, dust yourself off, and try again. By the time the world finally turns its eyes toward you, you will have already made your 1,000 mistakes in private. You will appear to them as an overnight success, a natural genius. They won't see the years of being the fool. They will only see the master you became in the silence. 6. Will over mood. Integrating the inner warrior. There is a dangerous myth in our culture that says you need to feel inspired or motivated to do great work. We scroll through social media looking for a spark, waiting for the clouds to part and a beam of energy to hit us. But when you are alone and the silence is deafening, that spark often refuses to come. This brings us to a crucial Jungian concept, the integration of the animus, the masculine principle of logic, structure, and will that exists within the psyche, regardless of your gender. While the anima, the feminine principle, deals with feeling, flow, and life, the animus is the sword that cuts through the fog. When no one is there to push you, you cannot rely on your mood. Mood is like the weather. It is chaotic, changeable, and completely out of your control. If you build your house on the foundation of how I feel today, your house will collapse the moment a storm hits. You must build on will. Will is not an emotion. It is a decision. It is a psychic function that overrides the temporary complaints of the body and the ego. Jung believed that the development of the will was essential for consciousness. Without it, we are just animals reacting to stimuli. There will be mornings when you wake up and every fiber of your being wants to stay in bed. You will feel heavy. You will feel uninspired. You will feel that loneliness creeping in, whispering that it doesn't matter if you skip today. This is the moment of truth. You must learn to act independent of your state. You must decouple your action from your feeling. You simply move. You sit at the desk. You put on the running shoes. You open the book. You do the thing, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. This is the ultimate form of self-respect. When you keep a promise to yourself, especially when no one is watching and you don't feel like it, you are building a reservoir of trust with your own soul. You are proving to your unconscious mind that you are a master of your own house. The inspiration you were waiting for? It usually shows up 20 minutes after you start working. Action generates inspiration, not the other way around. Be the warrior who marches even when the music stops playing. 7. Individuation, the ultimate getting ahead. Finally, we arrive at the deepest truth of all. The title of this video is How to Get Ahead Even When No One Is There For You. But what does it truly mean to get ahead? In the surface world, getting ahead means making more money than your neighbor, getting the promotion, or winning the popularity contest. But in the Jungian sense, getting ahead means something far more profound. It means individuation. Individuation is the lifelong process of becoming the person you were actually meant to be. It is the process of stripping away the false layers, the family expectations, and the societal conditioning to reveal the unique, indivisible self at the core. Here is the secret that justifies all your pain. Individuation is a solitary path. You cannot individuate in a crowd. You cannot find your unique frequency while constantly harmonizing with the noise of others. The reason no one is there for you right now is not because you are unlovable. It is because you are being called to separate from the herd. The herd is warm. The herd is safe. But the herd does not go anywhere new. The universe has isolated you to protect your transformation. If you were surrounded by people right now, they would be unconsciously trying to pull you back into your old shape. They would say, "You've changed," or "Why are you being so serious?" They would anchor you to the past. The empty space around you is a buffer zone. It is a sacred circle drawn around you to give you the room to expand. You are not behind in life because you are alone. You are ahead because you have dared to step onto the path of the individual. The empty chair beside you isn't a void. It is a throne. And it has been left empty so that you can finally sit in it. You are becoming the king or queen of your own psychic kingdom. So, let's look back at that mountain covered in fog. The silence around you is no longer haunting, it is holy. The lack of applause is no longer a failure, it is freedom. You have learned that this isolation is the night sea journey necessary for your rebirth. You have stopped projecting your power onto saviors who will never come. You have learned to light your own lamp through self-validation. You have turned your complaints into agency. You have dared to be the fool so you can become the master. And you have summoned the will to walk the path of individuation. You are rising, not in spite of the solitude, but because of it. The fog is lifting, my friend. And when it finally clears, you will look in the mirror and realize that the person you were waiting for, the strong, wise, capable leader, was looking back at you the whole time. You made it. You walked through the fire, and you did not burn. You turned into gold. Thank you for spending this time with us at Timeless Wisdom Official. Time is your most valuable asset, and I am honored you chose to invest it here. If this message resonated with your soul, if you felt a shift in your perspective today, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. We are building a community of individuals who are not afraid of the deep end. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these 7 steps spoke to you the most? Are you currently in a winter phase of isolation? Share your story. Your words might be the exact light someone else needs to see today. Like this video to help others find this wisdom. Until next time, walk tall, trust the silence, and remember, you are never truly alone when you are connected to yourself.